Hello, everyone. Caitlin here, your sales and marketing team lead, as well as the hiring and leadership development strategist, joined by yours truly, Dr. Sabrina Starling, the founder at Tap the Potential. We're so excited to have this juicy conversation around why high performers burn out first, because chances are, if you're a loyal listener to this Profit by Design podcast, you are already wondering, why is it that the most driven, capable, high-performing business owners are often the first to burn out? You might feel like you're the one everyone relies on. They care really deeply. Maybe you push harder than anyone else around you, and yet you're exhausted. You can't shut your brain off. The business still depends on you for absolutely everything. And no matter how much you achieve, it never feels like enough. If you're feeling this way, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you've been rewarded for over functioning. I'm a culprit of that, so I can raise my hand and say, I've totally been there. Your business has grown because you stepped up, you took responsibility, and you carried more than anyone else in your business. What we find at Tap the Potential is that what got you here is not what's going to get you to a sustainably profitable business that actually supports your life. So the solution isn't to work less or care less. It's to lead differently, because sustainable leadership requires shifting from the doing to leading, building a self-managing entrepreneurial team, creating systems where decisions don't rely on you, developing A players or high performers who take ownership instead of waiting. And this is how you stop being the bottleneck, create time and mental space, build a business that runs without your constant input. Burnout just isn't solved with rest alone. It's solved with structure. And so as we dive in today, first, I want to hold some space for you if you're feeling this way, because in our Better Business, Better Life program, our clients experience these things and bring them into group coaching all of the time. And so I'm curious, Dr. Sabrina, how you see this play out, because as we know from the data that we've collected for over 20 years, we know that 9 out of 10 business owners are burning out in their businesses and they are taking over their lives.
Yeah, Caitlin, this is such a problem for entrepreneurs, and it almost exists. Burnout almost exists in the background of our lives. Like, it's just so much a part of who we are. We don't notice it anymore. And a lot of times I notice that in our business owners in the Better Business, Better Life program, they don't realize they're burnt out. I'm thinking about a conversation we had a couple months ago in our Ascension program, which is our highest level. These are business owners that have been with us for several years and have overcome a lot of the typical struggles. So having the self-managing team and having all the things in place. So this particular business owner hit a rough spot in their business after getting things in place, and through various circumstances outside their control, found themselves losing a couple of key team members and having to step back in and carry a lot of responsibility that they had delegated. And it was a slow, and burnout is kind of like you're the frog in the boiling pot of water.
Yeah.
Where it just comes on slowly. And before you know it, your attitude. And that's where we start to see burnout, where other people will recognize it in us before we'll see it ourselves, where we're feeling frustrated with our team members and we're feeling more sarcastic and that sense of being a victim. Like, why does all this happen to me? What's wrong with these people? Can't they see? Why aren't they stepping up? And all the blame. And so that is a sign of burnout. When we lose faith in our team members, and this particular business owner has really good A players, but because everyone was stretching on the team to cover these roles that had been left open, everyone on the team was starting to burn out. And so it was becoming this cycle of slipping downhill. And it was the peers in the group that said, it sounds like you're burning out. Let's really shift the conversation from problem solving to what do you need? And that's the beauty of being in a group with other business owners who
Mhm.
are walking through some of the same experiences that you're having, because we can see things in other people easier than we can see it in ourselves. And I
Mhm.
think, when it comes to, so right now we rely on AI so much. We think AI can solve everything. Well, AI can't solve this.
Yeah.
And it was the support from the peers saying, "Hey, I see you. I've been in your shoes. I get what you're doing, what you're going through," and actually holding this business owner accountable for making some changes to take care of herself. That's where the shift really started to happen. She came back to the group 2 weeks later. She was in a completely different mind space, and she had taken some very decisive action in her business based on looking at what does she need so that the business supports her life versus her giving again to keep the business going.
Mhm.
Caitlin, what else do you see going on?
Before I share a little bit more about what I see in a lot of my sales conversations, or even in how to hire the best, this comes through, believe it or not, when we're talking about hiring and who we want on our team, right? Of course it does. So often when I get into conversations with people around their business, they can diagnose their business and say, I think it's this, this, and this. And here's the challenges that I'm experiencing. And we can dive so deep. The moment I ask the questions of, do you feel like you're constantly ruminating on the business, thinking about it all of the time? When was the last time you had some unplugged time for yourself, not even around family members, just simply for yourself to hold space for yourself? Their eyes widen and they say, well, I have a business. So what do you mean? And they pause. And that's when I really start to understand what it is that you're saying, Dr. Sabrina. It can be so challenging unless somebody holds up a mirror. And oftentimes, the people that we work with in our culture and in our communities and our business, they can be that mirror for you. And that's what happened for that business owner. He started to have people tell them, here are the things that I'm seeing within you.
Mhm.
And often, what I find is that most high performers assume that they're burned out because they're working too hard, when in actuality, they really just have to be on all of the time.
Yeah.
Every single thing depends on them. And they'll reinforce that with their language and every day when they're moving through different things in their day. Like, I'm the only one who can solve this problem. I'm the
Yeah.
only one who can put out this fire. I'm the only one who can do X, Y, or Z in the business. A lot easier to just get it done. So it's really not this effort that's causing the burnout. It's actually the dependency and the business being so dependent on you to move it forward.
Well, and that I think is one of the most subtle indicators of burnout is when things that are typically very simple for us to do take
Yeah.
longer and longer for us to accomplish. And it's
Like,
because of the decision fatigue that is setting in with burnout. And so we see this. I've experienced it myself just coming back from vacation after 2 weeks fully unplugged,
mhm.
coming back and like I'm whipping through stuff. But before I went on vacation, I was like, man, these things that are really easy are just taking me days to get accomplished.
Mhm.
That's burnout. When we come back and we clear our heads, then we can go, okay, now I can just handle things. And the ability to get back to just handling things
Mhm.
creates a sense of competence. Like, oh, I feel competent again, which builds our confidence as a leader, which then translates out to the rest of our team that, okay, we've got a division. We know where we're headed. We're going to take these decisive actions, and
Mhm.
here's how we're moving forward. And so it gets everything moving again.
Absolutely. And I think what that makes me think about is this over functioning.
Yeah.
So when I get in most of my conversations, we have the Better Business, Better Life assessment. And this is an assessment that really diagnoses like your health and your well-being in relation to your business. And so I'll see all the markers of burnout, burnout score through the roof. And I'll get in a conversation with somebody and their eyes really start to widen when they realize they're stepping into everything, they're solving everything, they're carrying the weight of the business or the weight of the world, their world that they see, their perspective on their shoulders. And those are the things that's keeping them stuck. They don't realize. And I think it's very natural. Entrepreneurial spirit. I think most people are over functioning. And so I'm just curious, as somebody who's the business psychologist and really sees this from a psychological lens, why is that? Or does it matter the why versus just having the awareness and starting to understand what it is that you need in your life and from your team and from your clients and customers, so that you can start to shift that? Because the over functioning is just as bad as the opposite side of that pendulum swing.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
So I think it really starts with asking, what do I need? Right? Just pause, ask yourself that right now. What do I need? What am I aware of needing? And tuning into that. And maybe it's, you know what? I need to eat lunch today. I didn't eat lunch the last 3 days. I ate on the go. Today, I'm going to take half an hour. It's a beautiful spring day outside. I'm going to go take my lunch and go sit outside for 30 minutes and have some fresh air and sunshine. And then you'd be amazed at when you come back, how much better you feel. And it's a reinforcing cycle, because that felt good. Okay, so I want to do that again. Tomorrow, I'm going to take another 30 minutes and do it again. But every time we start to put a limit in place, like I'm stopping for 30 minutes, we're teaching our business and we're teaching those around us that they can go on even when we stop.
Absolutely.
So when clients come into our Better Business, Better Life program at Tap the Potential, one of the first things they start doing is having a hard stop to the end of their day. It may be 5 o'clock, it may be 3 o'clock, whatever you choose, what's right for you. But that becomes your hard stop. And you quickly see that everything is okay when you take that hard stop.
Yeah.
And that starts to build your trust that, okay, I can put more limits in place in the business. And every limit we set allows space for other people in our business to take on more responsibility. And that is where we start growing our A players. So we just did a whole episode about that. So we're not going to dive in very deep here on that. Tune in and talk about how your culture, why your culture isn't building A players. That's where we get into that. In this episode, though, this is really about you, the business owner, and what you need. And when you start putting those limits in place for yourself, that's where you start to recover from burnout. And it does no good to take a 2-week vacation or a 1-week vacation fully unplugged if you come right back and you go into the same behaviors. So really what we see at Tap the Potential is our business owners become less burnt out because we teach daily practices that protect headspace every single day.
Absolutely, because your nervous system carries your business. So if your brain never shuts off, you're going and going and going, not taking any unplugged time, or maybe like me, and like Melissa Kay, who leads the podcast, who is my mom, spoiler alert, if you haven't listened to past episodes, she is. We find that we carry so much for others, not enough for ourselves. And the more that you have this unresolved and the more that you're constantly thinking about the business, even when you are not in it, it really drives your business down a path that doesn't honor your mission, vision, and purpose. It's really being led by your nervous system and how reactive you are to every one thing. So even these small steps that you learn from us, these mechanisms, these tools, they have this cumulative effect over time. And when you pair that with structure and your team starting to step up because you're stepping back and honoring your boundaries and giving expectations, these things all have this cumulative effect. And together, you can start to see positive change and growth in your business.
So as Caitlin is talking about, and I hope you wrote this down, your nervous system carries your business. That was such a profound observation, Caitlin. I know you've just completed 200 hours of yoga certification training. I'm just curious from your own perspective, as you have done an incredible amount of yoga and self-care, what have you observed in yourself? What are the shifts that you see in yourself from this attention that you've put to your own self-care?
That's such a good question. The first thing that I noticed is that I had a whole host of limiting beliefs and patterns and behaviors, stories that I told myself since I was a little girl getting into the workforce, what work should look like, what work should do, what my identity should be, how I show up, how I move through the world, and creating some space to deconstruct those so that I could start to release myself, receive, and really focus more on the life that I want to build and my future. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs will say, well, I got into business because I just love this. I love what I have in front of me. And as entrepreneurs, the most important thing we can do is take care of ourselves because we're the asset in the business. Limiting beliefs, old patterns that don't serve you will surface. And they will not just surface in your life, they will surface in your business. That was one thing that I learned that was so profound. And the second is breathing. So I'll just share that I've always struggled with anxiety. And I've always been a very high-strung, high-performing, over-functioning person. That's how I've moved my entire life. It's truly because I didn't respect the pause, the unplug, the breath to connect with myself. And it's interesting because a lot of people will say to me, well, Caitlin, I don't have 15 minutes to go to the gym and to take care of myself. And what my yoga teacher training taught me was that you can take 5 minutes, you can tune into the rhythm of your natural breath, start to deepen it, to really connect with your body and listen to what it's telling you. That can change the structure of your entire day. And as those things start to build upon each other, you work through tough things, you work through what's stuck in you mentally and your mindset, and then you really start to tune into your own intuition and your breath. That shifts everything. It shifts how you move in the world. It shifts the opportunities that are attracted to you, and it shifts the relationships that you build. And for me, those two things have been so profound that I want to share it with others. So I'm glad you gave me the space to be able to share that with our listeners, because those are just two things that if you start to go inward and really focus on who you are as an entrepreneur first, everything can really start to come together in a beautiful way, a way that you never expected.
You know, we spend so much time in our heads as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, and what you're speaking to is connecting with our bodies. So when we slow down and we take 5 minutes to breathe and just tune in to what am I feeling and experiencing in this moment, rather than trying to solve the next problem, but just slow down.
Yeah.
That heightened self-awareness allows us to tap into our intuition and to respond to situations with greater capacity than when we're on an adrenaline rush where we're just running from one thing to the next. So this dealing with burnout in high performers, this isn't something that you need just for yourself. You have it in your team members too. Your A players on your team are struggling with these same issues. And you may be so focused on your own challenges, you may not even be noticing that you have A players burning out. That is how you will lose your A players. So everything that you're learning for yourself about managing your burnout and getting back to a place where you're thriving versus just hanging on by your fingernails and surviving can be taught to your team members too. And it creates a culture in your business where work supports life, which is what we're all about at Tap the Potential, is creating a work supports life culture and your business supporting that. And so one of the statements that you made that I thought was really interesting at the beginning, Caitlin, is that we need structures in our business.
Yes.
Structures that prevent burnout.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're wrapping up here, I would love for you to just share an example of one structure that can be put in place in the business that you've seen our clients put in place that's preventing burnout.
Time strategy over time management. One of the first things we do when you come into the Better Business, Better Life program is Melissa is going to open that big, beautiful calendar of yours. And she's going to help you understand where your $10,000 an hour time is, and what your zone of genius is. And she'll take steps with you to help you understand, what's my value here to this company? Because sometimes we think it's how dependent everything is on us. But truly, you're a one of one. Your business is a one of one. And so how do we protect you as a business owner? By protecting your most important asset, which is your time and your energy. And when we start with that one thing, it almost just breaks open this ability to be able to put the full Tap the Potential solution in place in your business. And these foundational elements will help you not only do what we're talking about today, you also have community that you're doing it with, and you're growing and scaling your business in a profitable and a sustainable way that protects you from some of the things that you may be experiencing right now, which is that you don't have a life outside of your business, or that your mental health and your well-being is being impacted by the business.
Yes. So if you're recognizing yourself in this and you're ready to lead in a way that doesn't cost you your time, your energy, or your life, your next step is to talk with someone who understands where you are and where you want to go. And that's Caitlin. So book your call with Caitlin. Go to tapthepotential.com and you'll see book a call. It'll open up to Caitlin's calendar. She's going to get into a conversation with you to identify where you're overextended and map out some clear next steps to get you to a point where you feel better and where your business is moving towards sustainable profitability with that self-managing team. So again, go to tapthepotential.com and click book a call. Caitlin, thank you so much for being here with us today and having this conversation about burnout. It is such an important topic for us A players to be paying attention to.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. See you next time.